I was looking at all these mass shooters and school shooters since the shooting in Florida State University happened yesterday. The student's name, the murderer's name, the killer's name, his name was Phoenix Ikner. Well, originally his name was Christian Erickson, and his biological mother lied to his father and took off to Denmark. And for some reason, when he came back, he switched his name to Phoenix Ikner. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. But what I started to notice was this. I went and took a look at Adam Lanza, the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooter in Connecticut, Mathew Crooks, the Trump assassin. And when you look at the Caucasianoids, mass shooters or school shooters or whatever you want to call them, and you really look at them and study them, they all have the same look to them. Like they all have a bit of Down syndrome. They all look like they've been drugged out of their minds on antidepressant medication. They all look like they have like a touch of inbred in them. I'm not even trying to be funny at all. I'm going to put the pictures up. You can compare them. You can see for yourself. They all have the same distinguishable look to them that when I go places now, if I go to a movie theater or in a mall and I see somebody kind of looking like that, I'm going to keep my eye on them. And there's something going on here. And if I had to bet, before I say this, I'm not feeling suicidal or wanting to kill myself. So if I end up dead, I didn't kill myself. If I had to bet, it's a fact that Adam Lanza was on all these antidepressant medication. Mathew Crooks, the same thing. And if I had to bet, when it's all said and done, which we will never hear about in a million years, this Phoenix Ikner, or whatever the hell his name was, because that's not his real name, obviously. When it finally comes out that he's on some type of prescription medication, which I would bet my life that he's on, we have a problem here. We have a major problem here. So when you look at black youth who are doing these types of shootings, black youth are less likely to take these types of drugs. But the one thing in common with the black youth is that they're all listening to that drill rap garbage, where I'm not saying that the Caucasianoids aren't, but usually their mass shooters or school shooters are on some type of psychotic medication. So these pharmaceutical companies need to be investigated. These are mind-altering drugs. You can't just numb out and dull your pain, whatever you suffered through life. That's not the way to go about it. Oh, I'm just going to ply myself with all these, antidepressant drugs and all this other garbage, and you're no longer the same human being that you once were because all your brain chemicals are not the same. And let's take a deeper look into this. Our CIA, our Central Intelligence Agency, which is always using American citizens, the people that they're supposed to be protecting, as guinea pigs and lab rats for all their experiments. I always say I love my country, but I don't trust my government as far as I can throw them. And that's why all these globalists and corrupt people in government hate President Trump, because President Trump is for the people, for their wealth, their benefit, their standard of living. He wants the best for all of us. And that's why our government, remember, the CIA interfered in the last 2020 election. It's proven that the CIA interfered with President Trump's election to do everything. When he won the first time, they did everything to get involved to create all these slanders and hoaxes, which were all untrue. And then when he ran against Biden and lost the last time, it's already came out that our Central Intelligence Agency overthrew an election like America does in other countries. So you really think that they wouldn't ply your kids or people here with mind-altering drugs? You don't think? You know why they give drug dealers so much time? It's not because they care that the person selling drugs and poisoning the neighborhood. The pharmaceutical companies don't want competition. Why do you think they legalized marijuana? They didn't legalize marijuana because they wanted to do the right thing. They knew everybody was selling it. They wanted their cut. That's why. Just like they did with prohibition with liquor, gambling, and everything else that makes money. That's why. They don't care about you. I got bad news for a lot of people. You're just being negative. If you think pharmaceutical companies care about making you well, you're clueless. Their only goal is to keep plying you with drugs, keep making you think you're sick, never solving the root issue, and making you think that there's something wrong with you, so you keep buying their medications. And when you look at all these school shooters, they all have one thing in common, the Caucasian ones. They're all on these antipsychotic medications, depression, whatever the hell you want to call it. You get my point. They're all on it. All of them. And look at the last 15, 16 school shootings, all done by transgenders. What did they all have in common? You had a bunch of raging men, lunatics, who were plied with pharmaceutical drugs to make them women, and you don't think it affected their brain chemistry to do these psychotic things? And who did they go after? They all went and tried to off children. Why is that? Christian children. Because not only the drugs, you have Democrats and liberals brainwashing them that these Christians don't accept you and they think you're demonic. So you have the mind-altering drugs, the brainwashing, the MK Ultra CIA techniques, and then we have these events in America like we just had in Florida State. I don't know why our CIA does the things that it does, other than absolute power, and absolute power corrupts. It's really always about power. So for me to say I don't know, that was pretty dumb. It's always about absolute power. And how can we retain absolute power? If we can always make you feel inferior or make you feel like there's something wrong with you, here, take this, take that, and you're just in a tranquil you're in a tranquil trance all day while your rights are being trampled, and you're less likely to fight for your rights, to pay attention to what's going on. And that's what's going on. Why are the pharmaceutical companies and the school system, anytime you have if you're in the fourth grade, if you're in the kindergarten, if you're in first grade, you're supposed to be hyper. It's called being a kid. Oh, your kid needs Ritalin. What's Ritalin? Speed. So we give your kid speed to make him so hyped up that he's exhausted or she's exhausted. You think that's normal? You know what would be being normal? You got a hyper classroom full of kids. Hey, come on. We're going to go for a jog around the building 2 times, and then we're going to come in and start doing our work. And they would love it. They'd all be out there running around like maniacs, come in and sit down, and then they'd be a little bit tired, and they'd be able to focus. That's what kids are supposed to do. They're supposed to be hyper. They're not supposed to be drugged out of their minds on medication, whether it's they're too hyper, so they need some Ritalin and speed, or, hey, little Johnny, I saw you playing with a doll. Let's chop your penis off. Now you can become a woman. And by the way, we won't tell your parents. That's what Democrats do. That's what Democrats stand for. But I'm not trying to talk about that today. I like talking about that every day because their party makes me absolutely sick. But when you look at these school shooters, Adam Lanza, Mathew Crooks, Phoenix Ikner, whatever the hell his name is, this goes back to CIA, mind control, MK Ultra. Our CIA and our government has been applying these types of techniques for hundreds of years to get information, intelligence, to see what happens. Like we're a bunch of lab rats to them. So let's dive into this. The project was headed by Sidney Gadieb, but began on the order of CIA Director Alan Dulles on April 13th, 1953. Its aim was to develop mind-controlling drugs for use against the Soviet bloc in response to alleged Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean use of mind control techniques on U.S. prisoners of war during the Korean War. The CIA wanted to use similar methods on their own captives and was interested in manipulating foreign leaders with such techniques, devising several schemes to drug Fidel Castro. It often conducted experiments without the subject's knowledge. Without the subject's knowledge is very important to remember, or consent. Super important to remember. In some cases, academic researchers were funded through grants from CIA front organizations, but were unaware that the CIA was using their work for these purposes. That's exactly what's going on now. You think they can't track you with your social security number and see what drugs you're on? You think they can't pull up, oh yeah, patient-doctor confidentiality? You think the CIA can't look at your medical records? If you really believe that, you need the straitjacket, not me. So that's the one thing that the CIA always says, oh, we're going to use that on our enemies. That's always a lie. It always swings back eventually to the American population. Because like I said, you're going, and like the article said, you're going to the doctor. The CIA is actually behind the pharmaceutical drugs. They're being sold to the doctor as, medication that'll help you for your depression and your psychosis and all this other garbage. And meanwhile, the CIA is doing a big laboratory test on its own populace to see, can we get them to be violent? Can we get them to be tranquil? It's just a big test. And will we ever know why? Then we do know why. Absolute power. That's what it always boils down to, absolute power and control. It doesn't make sense because they already have all the power and control. Look how they tax us. State and federal even when you own a house and you own property, you pay taxes on it to your death. They have total control, and it's not good enough. They're psychopaths. That's what it is. They're the psychopaths. But it's always easier to point the finger at some 17-year-old that they just drugged and shot up a school. The project attempted to produce a perfect truth serum for interrogated suspect Soviet spies during the Cold War and to explore other possibilities of mind control. Sub-Project 54 was the Navy's top secret perfect concussion program, which was supposed to use sub-aural frequency blasts to erase memory. The program was never carried out. Yeah, sure, I'll believe that. Most MK Ultra records were destroyed in 1973 by order of CIA Director Richard Helms, so it has been difficult for the investigation to gain a complete understanding of the more than 150 funded research sub-projects sponsored by MK Ultra and related CIA programs. I should have read this part from the beginning. Experiments on Americans. Here we go. Let's save the best for last. CIA documents suggest that they investigated chemical, biological, and radiological methods of mind control as part of MK Ultra. They spent an estimated $10 million or more, roughly $87.5 million adjusted for inflation. During a hearing by the Senate Health Subcommittee, a testimony by the Deputy Director of the CIA stated that over 30 institutions and universities were involved in the experimentation program of testing drugs on unknowing citizens at all social levels, high and low, Native Americans and foreign. So they're giving drugs to American citizens, and you don't know what's in there. You really think they're going to tell you what's in Ritalin, what's in all these what's in Prozac? They're not going to tell you that. But I know one thing. It changes your brain chemistry. I know that for a fact. It's unarguable. The Army was subject to the testing of LSD, which occurred in 3 phases. The first phase included over 1,000 American soldiers who willingly volunteered for testing of chemical warfare experiments. Phase 2 had 96 volunteers who were dosed with LSD and evaluation of the possibility of intelligence uses of the drug. The third phase included projects The Third Chance and Derby Hat, which conducted experiments on 16 unwitting non-volunteer subjects that after receiving LSD were interrogated as part of Operation Field Tests. After retiring in 1972, Gotlieb dismissed his entire effort for the CIA's MK-Ultra program as useless. Give me a break. So that's all they do is lie. Files discovered in 1977 containing 700 pages of new information showed that experiments had continued until Gotlieb, however you pronounce it, ordered the program halted on July 10th, 1972. This program has never been halted. That's another lie. What do you think? Every time you go to the doctor, I used to have this one doctor. Every time I went to the doctor, remember when the pill epidemic started? Everybody got hooked on painkillers. You know why everybody got hooked on painkillers? Because every time you went to the doctor, they would basically beg you to take them out of their office. I'd be like, listen, I don't need, they'd be like, you're not on any medications. I'm like, I don't need anything. I'm good. Thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. You know who started that epidemic? Your doctor. Why they did it? They started an epidemic and then pretended that they wanted to treat it and fight it, that they had a problem. Meanwhile, our government, your local doctor, and the pharmaceutical companies started that epidemic. Now, getting back to all these school shooters and mass shooters, their brain chemistry is being played with by mind-altering drugs. And of course, you're always going to have some piece of you-know-what that just wants to take human life because he's a weak loser, whether it's a man or a woman. There's always going to be evil in the world. Obviously, not everybody's going to be on these mind-altering drugs. But if you write down the names of all these people that did this and you look into their background, most of it's been confirmed. They're all on some type of anti-psychotic medication or antidepressants or whatever the hell you want to call it. They're on medication. And it's between the medication and the music. That's what's bringing us to the problems that we have in 2025. Look at these three pictures I'm putting up. These are three people not from the same family. Look at their foreheads. Look at the look in their eyes. Look at their expression. How could they all be so similar? You know why? Because they're taking the same type of psychotic drugs. And if you don't think that our CIA would or is capable of doing these types of things on our own populace, then you're not paying attention.